first character we will analyze is Daisy. Daisy is a part of the urban class and she represents it as a whole. Daisy is a pretty girl from Louisville who grew up rich. She used to be in love with Gatsby, but once he went away to war, she had the choice to wait or to marry for money. She chose money over love and married Tom, and she again chooses it later on. As we know, Fitzgerald's intent in The Great Gatsby was to show the materialism, shallowness, and lack of genuinity in the 1920s urban class using rich characters like Daisy. Fitzgerald uses Daisy to show her shallowness when she rejects Gatsby for Tom. Gatsby is in deep love with Daisy. He goes through so much just to reunite with her, but in the end, she picks Tom for his money. She was willing to let him take the blame for a murder than to lose the life she has with Tom. After Gatsby's death, Daisy is indifferent. She doesn't even go to the funeral and causes Nick to say, "They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money with their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together, and let other people clean up the mess they had made." This clearly represents how Daisy was a selfish person that valued money and urban class lifestyle over anything real and genuine. They were careless people and selfish and looked out for themselves more than others. They perfectly show how urban class people like them, had many flaws, and society followed their flaws by trying to follow them, making a society that was obsessive over money and materialistic things. Daisy is used as the one thing that Gatsby wishes to have, but that one thing turns on him for money. Daisy is again shallow with her reaction to the birth of her daughter. A woman's daughter is irreplaceable and every mom wants the best for her daughter. However, Daisy again shows her shallowness and obsession with materialistic things when she says,
"Tom was God knows where. With God knows who. And I asked the nurse if it was a boy or a girl. And she said it was a girl. And I wept. I'm glad it's a girl. And I hope she'll be a fool. That's the best thing a girl in this world can be. A beautiful little fool."
She says this in response to Tom leaving the dinner table to talk to his mistress. Daisy wants her daughter to make the same mistake as her and marry someone rich that cheats. But she wants her daughter to be oblivious to it. Daisy would prefer for her daughter to be ignorant, naive, marry someone rich, and enjoy the money and ignore disloyalty than for her to be genuine and marry for love. Daisy clearly displays how highly she values materialistic things, so much that she hopes for her daughter to marry for money and be ignorant enough to enjoy it.
F. Scott Fitzgerald uses a character like Nick Carraway to point out the wrongs in society during the 1920s. Nick was son to a decently wealthy man and he was educated at Yale University. Since he made his money by himself, he has nothing to lose. If he fails, he can just try again. Also, he uses Nick to help the other characters in the novel which furthers his importance in the novel. So he doesn't just point out their wrongs, he helps them fix it as well. He does this by guiding them towards the right direction and also giving them encouraging compliments. He is the narrator of this novel, and everything you know is seen through his eyes. This is important in his meaning in the novel because Nick is supposed to be unbiased and an unselfish man, and is supposed to look at things through all angles. In the beginning of the novel, he does not play a huge role in the action, but towards the end of the story, he becomes a focal point in the action. Throughout the story, Nick expresses his opinions about other characters. A viewpoint Nick had is that he pointed out the types of people in society, more specifically his viewpoints about the people in East Egg. But he also viewed Gatsby differently after this. Over the course of the story, Nick formed a deep relationship with Daisy Buchanan, which also changes after this incident. So what happened was Daisy was driving Gatsby's yellow car and she suddenly hit Myrtle and killed her instantly. But we know Gatsby is crazily in love with her, so he took the blame for her, and she and Tom let him, which is when Nick then formed his opinion of them. He now thought of them as selfish people who will do anything to get themselves out of trouble, so they are not good people to be hanging around with. So Nick tells Gatsby, "They're a rotten crowd. I shouted across the line, you're worth the whole damn bunch put together." He tells him this because he admires Gatsby's love for Daisy, while Daisy is taking his love for granted. At first, he did not know much about Gatsby because there were so many rumors, but now he can see through Gatsby and sees that he is a gentleman. This quote also means a lot because Daisy and Tom are not just anybody. They are Nick's family, so saying this is no small compliment. Anyway, Another way Fitzgerald uses Nick is to show the irony in the 1920s. What happens is that Nick falls in love with Jordan Baker, who he knows is a liar, but Nick says about himself, "I'm one of the few honest people that I've ever known." So this is ironic because Nick says that he is one of the only honest people he knows, yet he loves a girl who is dishonest. As we can see, Fitzgerald uses Nick to show all the wrongs in society in different classes and to help other people fix their wrongs during the 1920s.
During the year of 1917, he became a soldier for World War I. Then he met the beautiful Daisy Fay, and was obsessed with her since day one. As the war was going on, Jay reached the rank of a major, which is the highest rank in the war. After the war, he attended at Oxford University for 5 months. While he was there, he received a letter from Daisy saying that she married to a wealthy man named Tom Buchanan. Gatsby decided to become wealthy by bootlegging moonshine and building large connections with gangsters such as Mayor Woodshine, who fixed the 1919 World Series and was trying to get Daisy back in his life. Gatsby is the main character of the novel. He is a wealthy man who lives in West Egg that throws lavish parties every single weekend throughout the year. In the novel, Fitzgerald develops Jay's life, and it's with him getting shot and killed at his mansion. He also shows anybody who reads the book that the life he demonstrates through the book is not the way someone should live. Basically, he was creating Gatsby as a cautionary character. The reason why was because throughout the novel, Gatsby had shown unimportant values such as money. Also, all he cared about was getting Daisy back, and lacking on important things such as moral morality and self-growth. Fitzgerald wanted to prove that the people should not follow Gatsby's footsteps on how he getting his fame, and he lied about his true identity, and also money does not bring happiness. In the story, he tries to get back Daisy in his life, but ends up loving Tom. The purpose of Jay throwing these lavish parties was because he was trying to get back with Daisy. At the ending of the novel and movie, Gatsby suffered an unexpected death and nobody knew. He led nobody to attend his funeral. Even Nick had to attend his funeral, which was the only person. He left all of his money and prized possessions. The reason Fitzgerald used that ending was to show how the consequences of what Gatsby was showing was living on attributes to his obsession with Daisy. The reason why is because he was drawn to get back into life and entanglement with George, the murderer. Also, he did not end up with Daisy because it shows the approach of getting her back was not successful. Lastly, the author said that Jay Gatsby paid a high price of living too long with a single dream, meaning that was the trade that contributed to Jay's fate was a warning. The trade which was getting back to Daisy would be dangerous. Lastly, Fitzgerald Scott wanted to use him because he wouldn't do anything to get back with Daisy and thought nothing would happen, and he faced the consequences.